r/askreddit. What was your "is this bench serious" moment? Used to work at Disney World. It's 9 a.m. and a lady comes into our guest services demanding a refund on her turkey leg because it tastes weird. We ask her the details to process the refund. Turns out she bought it 3 days ago and was carrying it in her bag since. A couple sat down at the movie theater 15 minutes into the movie. The lady sits right beside me and is holding a full conversation at full volume with the man barely acknowledging her. I politely ask her to lower her voice as it is distracting. She stares forwards for 2 minutes before leaning over. Maybe if you weren't listening to my conversation, you wouldn't be distracted. I was too livid to even respond and the movie was ruined. I used to work at the register of my college campus store. People mostly came in to buy energy drinks, gum, or whatever. But you could also buy like sweatshirts or even computers. But given most people only bought like one small thing, we didn't have carts or baskets anywhere for shoppers. Anyway, one day a woman comes in, a student's mom I'm guessing, and asks me for help to reach a sweater on the top shelf. I grab it for her and go to hand it to her, but she motions at me to hold on for it. She proceeds to walk around the store grabbing several items and then giving them to me to hold. She literally shopped for like 10 minutes using me as a personal shopping cart. Luckily, I had a coworker in the store on the same shift, so he was able to handle the register. At the end of this whole ridiculous segment, she got a message on her phone, read it, and said, "Oh, you know what? I actually have to go meet my son. I'll come back later to get the things I need." And then she left, and I was left standing there with an armful of random crap that I then needed to go put back one by one. Like, come on, woman. There was a girl in my class who was such an idiot, and she would outwardly disrespect the professor all the time. This one time, while the professor was talking, she started to whistle. He stopped class in disbelief and asked her why she was doing it and why she was being disruptive. And she said it's a thing she does without even thinking, and then whistled again and was like, "See?" A woman claimed to have left her money at home while I was working one day after she ordered 2 sandwiches. They take about 10 minutes to cook. I said, "That's okay, when you come back, they will be ready." She said she wanted the sandwiches first and that she'd be right back after she and her daughter ate because they lived right around the corner. I said, "If you live right around the corner, you'll be back before the sandwiches are done, but I can't give you any food before you pay." She lost her crap on me. It was wild. She left with no food and didn't come back. On multiple occasions, I've had mothers try to leave their kids with me because I'm in childcare. I literally have to stop telling moms I'm a nanny because I end up getting a strange baby plopped in my lap. The worst was at a park. I was chilling and reading. A mother sits next to me on the bench with her baby. We start chatting a little. "Oh, your baby is such a cutie." Stuff like that. This bench stands up, places her baby in my lap, diaper bag next to me, and says she'll be right back. Didn't ask, just put her baby in my lap and walked away. A customer came to pay for some lessons and I swiped her card upside down, so I had to swipe it again. She caused a scene stating that I charged her twice. I just sat there with the monotone, "I only charged you once," every time she took a second to breathe. This one girl in my class loved to apply perfume whenever she could, despite the fact that the girl sitting next to her was very sensitive to fragrance. One day she sprayed a whole bunch on and the girl started having a coughing fit and then a migraine and was sent to the nurse's office to calm down. When the teacher asked the girl why she did that, all she said was, "What's the big deal? It's not my fault. I don't like people sometimes." 20 years ago, a girl tried to fight me in a bar. All I did was look at her funny. Unintentionally, I was going to the bar for a round of drinks and I forgot the order as I happened to be looking at her when I was lost in thought. Anyway, she challenged me outside. I couldn't believe it. I'm 6'1", 220, and she was small. Anyway, the bouncer heard her and kicked her out. She was still on the sidewalk an hour later when we left. She followed me to my car, pushing me and punching my back. It was surreal. Someone asked if I could break a $100 bill in pennies. I just looked at her, looked around to make sure I was definitely not currently working in a bank. Lo and behold, I was working in a bakery. I just said sorry. I just had one today. I've been going to my local high school running track to jog and exercise since lockdown. Well, to park your car, you have to go through a driveway that's designated with arrows as one way. Anyway, the soccer moms in town are notorious for parking their cars in this driveway and making it hard to get into the actual parking lot. As I pull into the driveway, one of these women thinks that it's a brilliant idea to put her car into reverse as I'm entering. I couldn't swerve out of the way because there was an SUV parked, so I reacted and honked my horn. She proceeded to panic and throw the car into drive and run it into a small boulder that lines the driveway. It ripped the passenger side air deflector clean off. According to her, I'm now a freaking jerk that honks her horn for no reason. My sister's mother-in-law opened up all her wedding gifts and packed them away while she was on honeymoon. It's been 3 years since, but I'm still mad thinking about it. She said they would be exhausted after their trip, and so she wanted to help them settle into their new apartment by unpacking. To this day, my sister has stuff that she has no idea who it's from and could never personally thank anyone. I have worked at Spirit Halloween every season for the past 5 years. Anyway, super shady things happen at Spirit Halloween all the time, so I have endless stories to tell. For this story, I was working in the dressing room, basically just regulating who goes in and taking costumes out of the bags to withhold accessories to prevent theft. This was my first year working there, so I was about 20. Just a couple days before Halloween, a girl around my age came to the dressing room with a typical college girl costume. That's all I'll say. She says something like, "Oh good, we're about the same size. I'm in a rush, so I wouldn't have time to find an associate to help me." I just kind of smiled and took the bag from her. Like, what the heck does that even mean? I unpacked the costume, leave the accessories, and put it in a basket to carry to the dressing room. She looked really confused, so I just asked her to follow me and I'd get her a dressing room. I wish I was making this crap up, but this girl says to me, "Why would I go back there for you to change?" Huh? I can't even remember exactly how I responded because I was so confused, but it was something along the lines of, "You try on the costume yourself so you know how it fits you. An associate doesn't do it for you." And this girl had the audacity to be mad at me for saying that. Her response was basically, "Well, I don't want to have to get out of my clothes and change into the costume, so it isn't worth my time. That's so unsanitary to have a bunch of people trying the costume on instead of you just doing it. So I don't even want it anymore." Followed by her storming out. It happened a few days ago. A customer hasn't paid their bill in 5 months and was in bad standing even before coronavirus. We actually agreed to waive the late payment fees of 3 months. Bench then had the audacity to demand that we remove 75% of her bill, then demanded to speak to the CEO when we obviously refused. A coworker gave me the whole "we're all in this corona thing together and have to sacrifice together" speech, then called a departmental meeting to bully our supervisor into making sure that 100% of lost hours and lost income from scheduling changes and cuts fall on my shoulders, while all of her and her friends' paychecks remain completely intact because he's just a part-timer. We're the real team here and not him. Technically, he's not entitled to any hours at all, so it's okay to cut them all. My income for the month dropped over 50%, while the real team that I've been a part of for 5 years didn't lose a dime. I worked at an arcade bowling alley combo that served food as a full restaurant. My position had me deliver the food and take the dirty dishes to the back. So there's this group of like 6 people bowling, and they ordered our sampler platter that had a little of everything from the appetizers menu. I bring this platter out and set it down, asking if there was anything else they needed. Without really looking, this woman says, "We're good." I begin to turn around and this woman grabs my arm and yanks me towards her like I was her kid and says, "Where the freak are my chicken wings?" In disbelief of what was happening, I paused, looking at her, and then the platter eventually saying, "They're right there, ma'am, in this little basket on the platter." She lets go and with a skeptical expression says, "Okay," as if she didn't really believe the wings were there. If I didn't hate working there and my shift was any further from being over in 10 minutes, I would have spoken to a manager. But I didn't care enough to stay to get it sorted and just wanted to leave. Lady standing outside the grocery store this weekend harassing those who went into the grocery store by saying stuff like, "If you trust God, you'll remove your masks." My wife and I got in an argument. She was acting irrational. Basically, she thinks she is a mind reader and thinks anytime I am not in a good mood, it's because I am angry with her. So she was angry with me for having a bad day at work. She said I was always angry with her and she was sick of it, and she wanted a divorce and move out. I had like a brief out-of-body moment where I visualized myself married to another woman, happy and with kids. So I said, then we should get a divorce, not thinking she was serious. She's moving out in mid-June now. I am really looking forward to it. I didn't realize how much I wanted it until she brought it up. A customer once sent back her steak tartare because it was, and I quote, severely undercooked. When a customer accused me of making her come back for her prescription refills every month when we were restricted to fill 1 month of medications at a time. No exceptions. The government made everyone aware of the restrictions and people still got upset, but that took the cake. This only happened a few days ago. I got called into the manager's office and got offered the temporary clothing manager position. I didn't necessarily want a manager's position, but I had basically been doing the job for months without the benefits. So I accepted it. I went onto the shop floor and was immediately greeted with congrats from colleagues. A girl I work with that had recently become a duty manager went and told my business to everyone, including the fact that she had been offered the job first and turned it down, so that's why it was handed to me. Everyone knew I was being offered the position before I did. 15 minutes later, I am approached by a different manager saying there's an issue with putting me on the system, but they're trying to rectify it. For the next 2 hours, I listened to the girl telling everyone and anyone how hard she is going to have it, that she will now have to cover the clothing department as well as her own department. She told colleagues, friends, and even customers who didn't even ask. She made my business known to everyone. Eventually, I was brought into the office and officially told that I wouldn't be the clothing manager because our boss missed the deadline to put me on the system. The manager apologized profusely, and I went back out to the floor to hear the new duty manager telling my story yet again. Longest shift ever. Thanks for making it to the end, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you want more stories like this or something completely different, just let me know in the comments.